When you and I talked our first conversation, I still remember you said, I think it was our current third and fourth graders will be the first one to Mars.
That's right.
At that age. Why couldn't it be one of my kids?
This is Andy Alder, and I'm the president of the Alder and Family Foundation, where our mission is to bring the inspiration of space into the classroom. We've been distributing giant maps of the moon and Mars that include books, rovers, augmented reality. But I think the most important thing we do in developing our programs is we sit down with the administrators, the curricula experts, the science education experts, and come up with ways of kind of adapting our curriculum so it's meeting exactly what the needs of the district are. And what we do with the foundation is we bring the inspiration to space. But really the focal point has to be the district leadership.
To me, it's the thinking outside of the box, hands-on activities for our children. That's where you see their minds as they're on the map. You see their mind just moving so fast. I can see my kids finding ways to be engaged in science and reading and math in different ways that will be able to accelerate their learning.
One of the challenges of this custom work is finding topics and texts that are really engaging for students and also facilitate improvement in their literacy skills, including reading and writing and conversation about text. And so PCG is currently partnering with districts like Chicago Public Schools to build fully custom pre-K to 12 English language arts curriculum. And now what's exciting is in partnership with the Aldrin Foundation, that will include units of instruction that leverage the excitement of space exploration to build students' literacy skills. And one of the things that we've seen is by working in English language arts versus the traditional science or STEM areas, we aren't competing for time with other science topics, and we can actually truly engage students in the excitement of space while improving critical literacy skills at the same time.
You know, we were talking about how space can bring inspiration to the classroom, and you said, you know, we spend a lot of time teaching the kids what we want to teach. We need to spend some more time teaching them what they want to learn.
So I think this is a golden opportunity for us to expand the curriculum for space exploration, but also create interest in the math and science other than just what kids call boring stuff.
Real problems and exciting problems in space, on Mars, on the moon, and you kind of force kids to do the math and science. It gets to be fun.
Oftentimes, in many subjects, that hands-on application, real-world relevancy is missing. And talking with teachers, that was one of the number one aspects of this project that they were really, really excited about.
What I love about utilizing space is that it's not just a frontier, it's like here and now. It's in our news. We can talk social studies, like how are we going to do geography on the moon, like what country has what area of the moon. We also can talk about other types of entrepreneurship as of asteroid mining. We talk about all types of careers. A lot of the students at the middle schools, other than astronauts, other than engineers, we need everything, the plethora of different vocations to go to the moon and then use that to advance to going to Mars.
When I first articulated that I wanted to be an astronaut to my 5th grade teacher, he actually didn't laugh at me. Encouraged me to read some books. We didn't have a big library, but I did read those books. And then I went on to, as I graduated from 8th grade, and we actually had an 8th grade graduation ceremony for 22 kids, and had to go to a high school. He asked me what I was going to take as electives, and I didn't know what an elective was. We just, you went to school, you studied what the teacher gave you. And I said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, if you want to be an astronaut, you should take algebra. And I said, what's that? And he said, trust me. And I did. And of course, that was the pathway: algebra, geometry, trigonometry, math analysis, and I took biology, chemistry, and physics. And it was my physics teacher my senior year, because applying to colleges was a new venture for us. But I finally was accepted to the University of Washington under the National Defense Education Act, or I wouldn't have been at college. I was working in the fields in the summer. And I took all this paperwork into Mr. Anderson, my physics teacher, and I said, well, what college should I select? I thought I was going to college, and here it had all these colleges, like business and law. And he looked down the list and he said, Bonnie, I think you should become an engineer. And we checked that block, and he changed my whole life. So in the fall of 1967, I entered engineering, and that was exactly the right place for me, and that's how I became an astronaut.
For me, it was my high school math, biology, and chemistry teacher. And when I launched into space for the first time in my very limited family area, those three teachers sat by my parents because they had such a critical role in putting me where I was. I have said many times I was carried to the launch pad on their shoulders, and I really mean that. And so it were the teachers, and I think because someone like myself that was a first-generation college student, it was even more critical. I didn't understand the opportunities that were out there. I didn't understand even what was capable in my future. And it was the teachers in my life that pointed me towards those opportunities and created the fundamentals on which I built my entire career.
The whole world was excited about something NASA was doing, and it was sending a teacher into space. It was 1986, and it was before the accident, but it was nonetheless a huge milestone in NASA's history. And it was for the first time in my life I ever thought about being an astronaut. I was like, a teacher's an astronaut? How is this? I thought they were all test pilots, and I didn't know any test pilots. But at that point in my life, I knew not only a few teachers, but teachers. I was with teachers more in my life than I was my own parents. And I had not just one teacher, but I had 6 teachers. And my teachers didn't just teach me algebra and science and language. They were my coaches. They were my counselors. They formed me. And so I was like, wow, if a teacher can be an astronaut, I got to figure out what this is all about. And so then I started to look more into what NASA was doing, what astronauts were doing. They were building a space station. Back then it was called Freedom, but they quickly transitioned to International Space Station. They were going to have to build the space station. And so I looked back at my list of all the things I had put on there, and I was like, I think I know what I want to be. I want to be an astronaut. And so for me, it was a combination of effort of teachers who had just done their job, not to mention the ones who took special attention to me for things I was doing, but my parents who just so wisely guided me without forcing me in any one direction.
Can you make space exploration a reality, something that's reachable for some of your students who would never consider it as a possibility? You see, I don't have a problem inspiring students who already have a family that may have taken them actually to see the complex at the Space Center. I don't have a problem inspiring them and helping them see themselves as future astronauts and potentially being a part of the mission control that gets all of the particulars taken care of for an actual space launch. I don't even have problems inspiring some of them that if we have more and more civilian space travel, that they might someday be a part of that kind of colonization, if you will. Where we have our challenges is to make some of our children who have very different backgrounds believe that it can be a part of their dream.
There are middle school kids who have built satellites that are flying in space, and I don't think it's difficult to conceive of developing programs where your kids, probably in high school, could actually develop and fly satellites. And if that's not bringing it to the entire, in any of your schools, if that's not bringing home the meaning of space to you on the ground, to your students, it's a magical time to do all of this. I want to thank you, Dr. Jenkins, so much for taking the time. I'm inspired by your words because it's very much the spirit of what we're trying to do. And for those out there, please, get in touch with us. Look at what we've got at aldrinfoundation.org. Thank you very much for the time. I really, really, really look forward to working with you in your district. Thank you.